putting the Biden administration behind us and making America great again.
Certainly.
Near EcoPass.
Now, the group included 60 unaccompanied minors, including a 2-year-old girl from El Salvador.
Venezuela, mamá. Venezuela. Sí. ¿Qué tantos años tienes? ¿2 años? ¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá? ¿No? ¿Venezuela? ¿Para dónde vas, mamá? ¿Dónde están? ¿Estados Unidos? Okay.
Texas DPS Lieutenant Chris Olivares posted the video on X. He said, quote, regardless of political views, it is unacceptable for any child to be exposed to dangerous criminal trafficking networks.
Olivares added that Texas DPS has rescued over 900 children during Operation Lone Star. Governor Greg Abbott launched the state-level immigration enforcement mission back in March of 2021. This is Governor Greg Abbott. NTD's Jason Blair brings us the latest. And President-elect Trump's pick for UN ambassador sends a strong signal to U.S. allies and rivals on what they can expect from American foreign policy over the next 4 years. That and more after the break. Governor Greg Abbott in a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border. NTD correspondent Jason Blair reports.
Thomas Homan, Trump's nominated border czar, visits the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas on Tuesday. He told Fox and Friends that he'll be joined by Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Well, we're not waiting to January 20th. We're already planning what we're going to do to lock down the state of Texas.
Abbott has called Homan the right guy in charge. They started the visit at a Texas military base along the banks of the Rio Grande, visiting National Guard soldiers and Department of Public Safety troopers in the area.
As we say in Texas, this is not his first rodeo. He's been down this pathway before, done this before. Cubs ready and prepared.
Also on Tuesday, the Texas Land Commissioner, Don Buckingham, is with state leaders in Rio Grande City. They're kicking off a border wall construction event. Rio Grande City is in Starr County, Texas, a border county. And up until the 2024 election, the county hasn't backed a Republican president since 1892. Trump won it with about 58% of the vote in November. Biden won it in 2020 with 52%, and Hillary Clinton won it in 2016 with 79%. Border officials say migrant crossings are currently down in the area. They credit seasonal trends, federal executive action, and Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star, which launched in 2021. Buckingham is also offering 1,400 acres to help with the incoming Trump administration's deportation plan.
And we're here to be a good partner. We've got a good piece of property. It happens to be very level, so easy to build on. It's got good access to roads, an international airport, and of course, an international crossing with Mexico, a bridge right across the river. So it's all in good proximity. If it's helpful to you, we're happy to partner up.
Also involving Rio Grande, the U.S. National Guard released more floating buoys to determine illegal immigration. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
State remains a beacon of hope, justice, and dignity for all who call Texas home. To quote Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, we are witness to the greatest sin of the modern era, the hundreds of thousands of missing migrant children and the horror they must be experiencing. But the second greatest sin of the modern era is allowing repeat offenders back out onto our streets, permitting them to commit heinous crimes against our sons and daughters. Take, for example, the loss of our own children, like Jocelyn, Laken Riley, and Elizabeth Medina. No longer will the rape and murder of our sons and daughters be tolerated. We are completely united with President Trump to rid our country of illegal, violent criminals. As many of you are aware, I have extended an offer to President Trump and incoming border czar, Tom Homan, to use this 1,400-acre property to construct a facility for the processing, detention, and coordination of what will be the largest deportation of violent criminals in our nation's history. facility here will be the final stop for processing before these violent criminals are deported. This will reduce the burden on our local jails and keep our Texas children safer. President Trump and Mr. Homan, I meant it when I said that I will do everything in my power to help this administration. And that is why I'm announcing our offer has been extended beyond this property. At this time, I'd like to bring up Jocelyn Nungari's mom, Alexis, and grandmother, Jacqueline. Please help me welcome them. So we have an exciting announcement. The new project that the General Land Office is going to embark in that I have created is the Jocelyn Initiative, in which we will locate appropriate land under my jurisdiction to lease for the construction of violent criminal deportation facilities. My office has identified several of our properties and is standing by ready to make this happen on day one of the Trump presidency. We are going to do everything in our power to ensure no other parent has to feel the pain that Alexis and Jacqueline are feeling right now. We have seen what happens when sanctuary cities release illegal immigrants back onto the streets. The monsters who took the life of Jocelyn have been caught in El Paso, but were soon let out and made their way to Houston and committed an unspeakable crime. Another example is the tragic case of Laken Riley, whose murderers have been arrested multiple times, including for endangering a child. Time and time again, he was released and went on to rape and murder another American daughter. This stops now. With the help of our local, state, and now, after 4 years, our federal partners, we can continue to deal major blows to the cartel's influence over South Texas. By working together, we will significantly reduce illegal immigration, end the trafficking of deadly drugs, and keep Texas families safe. I'm Dr. Dawn Buckingham, your Texas Land Commissioner. I love my job. I love every inch of this state, and I'm committed to keeping it safe and prosperous for the future. Please help me welcome Alexis to the stadium for some time.
I really appreciate Mrs. Buckingham to allow me the opportunity to have me and my mom here to speak in honor of Jocelyn, who is no longer here anymore. It means the world to me to know that Jocelyn has touched millions of hearts, millions of people she's never met, and every day it's a struggle. Every day it's hard. Some days are easier than others, but it never takes away the fact that she's not here anymore due to heinous people who were let in this country to do what they did to her. As much as I wish I could change the past and take it back and even take her place, I can't do that, and everything happens for a reason, and there's a reason I'm up here and standing and speaking, because my goal is to get justice for Jocelyn, but to make a change for every other child in this state, in this nation, to not have any more families go through what me and my family are going through. We can make change, and we can do and make a difference. And Jocelyn's voice was ripped away from her, unfortunately, but mine is still here. So I will forever, for as long as I live and breathe, forever shout her name, say her name, and do whatever I can in my power to make her death prevail and have way bigger purpose than what it has ever became. Thank you.
Grandmother, I was her Mimi. What started off as my beautiful girl, as our family, has now become everybody. everybody's beautiful girl. And the outpouring of support and love that we have received, I could never fathomed. You know, my baby always talked about wanting to be famous, and her name is everywhere now. And we're going to do right by her, make sure her legacy lives on. And Ms. Buckingham, thank you for this honor and allowing us to be part of this, because this shows we're taking back power, we're taking back our peace, and we're taking back hope, so that no other families have to go through what our families go through, because this should have never happened. Those monsters should have never been here. And I'm looking forward to the future, because we didn't have a future. And now, hopefully, it'll become brighter. And we can just continue living through Jocelyn and make sure her legacy just lives on. Thank you, everybody.
It's great to have you both. President-elect Trump promising a mass deportation of illegal immigrants, starting with what he's calling criminals first on day one. He said that he'll start with local sheriffs and law enforcement enforcing this. Bobby, I'll start with you. You're being in Texas. How can he financially and practically carry out these mass deportations?
Well, I think you're going to see a two-pronged approach. I believe Tom Homan is actually here in Texas meeting with Governor Abbott, talking about ways to facilitate this type of ejection, basically mass deportation of these criminals. If you recall from the stats, there's over 16,000 known criminal murderers in the country, 25,000 known rapists, and so him starting there is a really good sign. And as far as facilitating these, we just have to, this is where the money needs to go. I think in the next phase, you're going to see some pressure put on businesses, almost a self-deportation. If the businesses aren't hiring, the people will return. But in this phase, the finances need to be provided by the federal government to get these people out. This is what people voted on when we saw the crime spiking in Manhattan, say, and we saw these cases like Lake and Riley and others. The need for action was clear, and he's going to deliver.
Jonathan, I'll give you a chance to respond. And is there a legal basis for some of these sanctuary cities and states to challenge these deportations?
And we know that crime data has shown that crime has dropped dramatically under Biden. I do think that when Trump was president the first time, Democratic governors and Democrats in the House and Senate were very effective at slowing and stopping a lot of the extreme things that he wanted to do. And so I do think that there will be legal basis for the majority of this country actually voted against Donald Trump. That's very, very important to talk about when we talk about whether or not he would have majority support for some of these unpopular policies.
Bobby, I'll give you a chance to reply.
Yeah, absolutely. I disagree with probably 100% of what was said. The FBI put out a retraction to their statement that they made earlier during the campaign.
That's
which was
right.
used so much by left-wing legacy media, saying that the crime did indeed rise. During the summer, Manhattan put out a stat saying 2/3 or 3/4 of their summertime crime spree was done by illegal aliens. That's just a fact right there. So people voted on this. The polling showed it going in, the exit poll it showing going out, that this was a major, major driver. And for someone to win 312 electoral votes, win the popular vote, it's considered a mandate by any standards. So people are on board. I don't know how much patience they'll have as the policies are implemented. I hope they give the president and his team a chance to actually get this done. But the mandate is there, the stats are there, and hopefully action will be implemented and done quickly.
Jonathan, some critics say that large-scale deportations of illegal migrants would negatively affect the U.S. agricultural industry. Do you think there could be incentives given for providing Americans with those jobs? And would there be any effects on food prices and availability?
I mean, look, there have been countless studies done that have shown that getting rid of undocumented immigrants in this country would adversely affect our economy. I mean, I'm not sure that, I want to be very clear, I'm not suggesting that that's a reason to keep people in the country who are here illegally, but I'm saying that if your concern is purely economics, there's been plenty of data to show that it would harm the economy. A lot of these people pay taxes, they don't get anything back for the taxes that they're paying because they can't file a tax return.
Have you looked at the price of food, you dummy?
Work for. If you talk about jolting the economy with getting rid of the labor that's provided by undocumented immigrants, and then trying to employ Americans who are not going to work for those wages, I think you're talking about some clear, obvious,
wages went up in America. Or did you forget that?
And hindrances to economic growth. He started crashing the economy in 2019, and it was due to his trade war with China and some of his other policies.
Bobby, with regard to trade wars with China and economic policy, Trump yesterday announcing another 10% on China. This is coming, with mixed reviews. What is your take?
Well, first, let me address some of the points that were made earlier. I do believe, that there are studies that show the economic benefit of some of, especially seasonal workers, agricultural workers. And so I think that is an important part of an overall immigration reform plan. I think too many times it was used to say, hey, these people are coming, so let's make a path to citizenship. Let's allow illegals to just pour in. I do believe that if we want that economy to continue to work, then sure, let's open up a path of discussion, a guest worker program where people are documented for the sole purpose of this seasonal work. Then they return to their countries.
Get rid of the violent ones, the rapists, and the murderers.
Tariffs can be used as a great negotiating tool to bring people to the table. If they don't want to have that tax on those goods, people too quickly say that, oh, this is just going to be a tax that's passed on to the consumer. But how many times in the past has it been used to bring a country to the negotiating table, whether it's for that certain economic benefit, manufacturing, car making, whatever, or a much larger foreign policy initiative? I think it is a great tool to bring these countries to the table, to get them to do what the United States wants to do, and the president has a pretty good track record on that.
Jonathan, just in fairness, President Biden, he did leave in the Biden administration those Trump-era tariffs on China all in place, and in fact added to them. So doesn't that speak to perhaps the level of efficacy on those?
So if Donald Trump had been able to do whatever he was doing and not crashed our economy,
he didn't crash our economy.
He crashed our economy, and when you look at what the Economist said, you can go back and read these articles. They have not been scrubbed from the internet. They document at the time that he was slowing our economy in late 2019, and it was predominantly because of what he was doing with the trade wars with China.
No,
I'm not saying that tariffs
it isn't. He didn't crash our economy.
The data speak to an economy that had record low unemployment, record low inflation, job growth. I mean, the unemployment of every sector was down to 40-year lows. Inflation, which was the bane of the Biden administration, was non-existent under the Trump administration. The reason he won, in addition to the border, if I could finish, please, is the fact that people wanted more money in their pockets. They knew how the economy was under Trump, and they wanted that back. They wanted that feeling of economic freedom, and that is why they voted for the president. And it was nice to at least see an acknowledgement that tariffs can be used as a leveraging tool. So putting the Biden administration behind us and making America great again.
Certainly a